Okay, so today's video, should you summon on Miss Coffee and Navia? Now, this is honestly kind of a hard decision to make. I'm gonna say yes, but there's a lot of, variables, like, are you summoning for Skirk? If that is what you're planning to do, then no. Miss Coffee, unless you have enough summons to get her, is gonna basically be on Skirk's best team, so you should only summon on Miss Coffee if you know you can get her and Skirk. If you can't do that, then I don't recommend summoning. Now, Navia is actually a really good 5-star just in general now, or not even now, she's always sort of been that, it's a little tough because I don't have the character and she's a weird character, but the way I see it, she's very much so like Kanich. And that allows Navia to actually do a lot of damage. She now has Bennett, Shieldon, and then Mavuika as her best team, which just really makes this character a lot better. I believe that is her best team. Once again, I don't have the character necessarily, but from what I've seen of her, she's still good, right? She's not like Yoimiya. It's not like where I'm like, oh my god, this is such a bad character. So yeah, Miss Coffee is probably going to be amazing for free supports. If you're like an Ayaka main and you loved her forever, I imagine Miss Coffee is going to make her a lot better because she's probably going to be doing a lot of off-field damage. Now, let's look at the 4-stars. We don't know what Aoife's going to be doing, really. They didn't really go that in-depth with his kit. It doesn't seem like he's that great from what they've already talked about, so I'm not like super, oh my god, he's amazing. I mean, they actually did post about his kit. I just haven't read it because I don't care. I'm gonna be honest. This guy, I don't think is gonna be good. He can heal and stuff. From what I saw in the stream, it was like a kit that just did not seem that great. However, he's new, right? He's new, you can get him, and then also Auroron and Layla are actually some pretty decent 4-stars. Layla is a, decent, oh, hey, apply cryo. Like, let's say you're running a Layla and, see Lolly in a team for Arlecchino or something like that. That would totally work. You could get more consistent melts and stuff with Arlecchino. Just theorizing. I don't use Layla often, honestly. She's a character that'll work good as, like, a 4-star you pick up, but not a character that you'd ever go to, like, if you're at a serious, like, in-game level. Auroron, on the other hand, is basically a must, I feel like, for Electrocharge teams. From, what I've used of him at, like, I think it's C0 is what I have him at. I have him C1, but I don't think I've used him at C1. If you look at him at C6, he's providing 30% attack. He's doing off-field damage. For Overload or Electrocharge teams, he's not that bad. For like certain, because Chloride and Raiden, if you use a lot of electro characters, like let's say you use Verissa and then you also use Chloride, Chloride's, Electrocharge team isn't that far off from, her normal, Overload team, so what I've been told for the Chloride mains, right? I do actually have Chloride. It's just, to me, I don't have C6 Chevy, which is really what holds Overload back for her on her team. But yeah, Auroron, he works, he's very fun. I think he's a good character to just have on your account for, maybe, Imaginarium Theater. He is pretty good because, if you have Hydro and Electro in Imaginarium Theater, that's going to be basically what Auroron's kit is built for, and you're going to get more Electrocharge damage buffs. So it's going to be really useful to actually, get that. So yeah, overall, these banners aren't bad. The only issue that I can see with you summoning on these is, 1, we have possibly a Mavuika rerun soon. And then 2, Skirk, right? I'm expecting Mavuika's rerun to be literally next update. Well, not this next update with Miss Coffee, but the update after Miss Coffee. I'm expecting her rerun to be then, because we really are waiting on a Mavuika rerun at this point, and they haven't done it, so we're kind of like, it's going to happen, basically, when Skirk's update comes out, which Skirk should be the last character we see, along with Dahlia, the pink-haired guy in the trailers and stuff. Yeah. Let's go ahead and talk about the weapon banner. It's not that great. I'm not going to talk about the 4-stars because these are 4-stars that I don't really know much of. I think this sword is okay for like Nilu or something. I don't remember. But looking at this is Widzith, right? No, yeah. Widzith is pretty good for Verissa and a lot of other Catalyst characters. It's just so annoying to use, honestly. Like, I hate its passive. It could just be me trying to showcase characters. Having the random passive really screws that up. But, yeah. And I believe, from what I read Miss Coffee's weapon a bit ago. So, Miss Coffee's weapon gives her a lot of attack percent and increases the active character's attack by 32%, which will be useful on a character like Ayaka. So a character like Ayako on Freeze will not have access to Eon-san or Bennett, so, you know, having, 1,900 attack is generally where she's going to be at. However, she has over 1,000 base attack, so 32% attack for Ayaka is going to be honestly pretty swaggy, and, that's genuinely, how it's going to be. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how that's going to go down, and, yeah, we'll see when that happens. So Ayaka is a character that we can look at immediately and see that she'll benefit from this quite a bit, honestly, because 1,900 attack, that is basically all of Ayaka's attack. There's no attack buffs that go on in her team. She has Shinha, which, uses double attack percent, stats. She has Fiorina, who uses Golden Troop. She has Shieldon, who isn't giving her attack, right? And, that's her current team, right? Obviously, Miss Coffee will probably be replacing, Shieldon. I just kind of looking at it, I think that this weapon will actually be a pretty decent increase for Ayaka. Probably an over 10% DPS increase just from having this. And don't forget that, Miss Coffee is going to be buffing, getting buffed with this also. The real, what is going to happen is, C1 or Miss Coffee's weapon. We'll see what Miss Coffee's C1 is when she launches in game. I imagine her C1 will be pretty good because that is what we've seen for most characters nowadays. Like, even this is still pretty good. It's a 10% DPS increase for, Mavuika overall. And, and that's pretty, nice. And basically, most C1s, you can point out a few characters where their C1 is actually not so amazing, right? It's not like 20% DPS increase overall. But, we will have to see, because that's honestly pretty rare comparatively to, C1s that are like, oh yeah, take 100% crit damage. Legitimately, that's what this C1 is. It's literally just that, and then it has the extra exploration part of it. It's insane. So yeah, most characters C1 nowadays, I feel like, are pretty strong. The only ones you can really point out with are, a couple like, oh yeah, Shieldon's, and, but Shieldon has a massive C2. It's definitely there. So we'll see what happens when we actually see this end game. So let's talk about Navia's weapon, though, because that is genuinely a insane, claymore for, basically any DPS character. Like, if we go ahead and I just look at weapons, there's this website that I'm using. It'll just give me, like, recommended. Yeah, there's already 5. Yeah, it's connection stuff. And then, yeah, it's a really good claymore overall. If you summon on it, cool. I think it's also better than Navia's C1 on top of that. Just from the last time, I'm pretty sure Navia doesn't have an impressive C1. Yeah, all Navia's C1 is just energy regen and like a cooldown reduction. That's not going to be nearly as insane as getting her signature weapon. So yes, just summoning for the weapon banner honestly would not be a bad choice because it is genuinely a good weapon banner, just outright. So if you do decide to get the weapon, or summon on the weapons, then yeah, it's not bad. That's all I really have to say for this video because it's generally, these banners are actually just not that bad whatsoever comparatively to a lot of other banners. And, they have pretty good value. We'll see how Miss Coffee, ages, or not ages, but how she, I guess, kind of ages. We'll see what her true potential is when we get to 5.7 with Skirk, right? So, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.